Today's meditation is drawn from this past Sunday's Gospel from Luke. That one little vignette in all of the Gospels in which we get a glimpse of Jesus as an adolescent, a 12-year-old boy, and how he got left behind by his parents as they were returning to Nazareth from Jerusalem, and how his frantic mother and father went back to search for him. Because we're hearing the gospel right now after all those great old movies with Christmas themes, it makes me think of that movie Home Alone. The young boy who got left home alone in the family skirmish to depart on their vacation. The mother's frantic attempts to find a way back to him, opting to ride in a truck with that comedian John Candy and a group of traveling musicians rather than wait for a next available flight, and how the young boy ends up dealing with life on his own. And after all the crazy antics of keeping the hoodlums out of his house, we do see in the end that he has gone through a rite of passage and has grown in wisdom and strength by the time his family is reunited to him. Jesus, as a 12-year-old Jewish boy, was also preparing for the rite of passage that would happen when he turned 13. In fact, the next year, in Jerusalem's temple at the Passover, he would take his place with the adult men as he came of age to observe the Torah. The movie makes me wonder also if Jesus didn't really just get lost in the shuffle of the departure, instead of what I've always assumed, that he intentionally stayed behind because of a deep conviction of where he belonged and who his father was. Even if he accidentally got left behind, the point is where he chose to be and what he chose to be doing. Not in the marketplace, not in the encampment where his family group had stayed, but in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. His questions and his own reflections filled them with wonder and amazement. It sounds like what I've heard many a time from godly play teachers after a session with children. The teachers always say that the kids' questions and insights will surely amaze you. I think Luke is letting us in on the big picture after his glorious infant narratives. It's just been a little more than a week since we heard the angel Gabriel's announcement to Mary that she would bear the Son of the Most High, and Mary's prophetic Magnificat in the presence of her cousin Elizabeth, and the angel's announcement to the shepherds that a Savior had been born in the city of David. And in the temple, Simeon's canticle and prophetic words to Mary as he takes the baby Jesus in his arms, and the prophetess Anna's praise to God as she spoke of the child to everyone who was looking for the Messiah. We are given plenty of big picture views in these early scenes. And now 12 years have passed in the biblical narrative. And now Jesus is an adolescent growing up in a backcountry village whose parents are living the ordinary lives of a first-century couple, concerned with having enough food and clothing and necessities to get along. Their scope of vision had perhaps become dulled during those 12 years. And so when Mary refers to Joseph as Jesus' father, pop, the big picture opens back up for us, especially when we hear Jesus' response to her, "Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" And that this takes place right back in the temple, where Jesus will drive out the money changers, shouting, "It is written, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of robbers." And according to John's gospel, take these things out of here, stop making my Father's house a marketplace. And of course, there would come another 3 days in which his followers, distraught about his absence, and not knowing where or if they will see him again, don't know what to do. In a sense, we hear Jesus reminding Mary and Joseph that they must realign their sights with the larger picture, the larger parallel story that is running alongside their daily lives and expectations. And we can be reminded to realign our expectations. God did not send Jesus to help God align God's will with their or our ordinary expectations and sentiments about the way things used to be or the way things ought to be. And God did not send Jesus to fulfill our resolutions for a new year. Just as we witness Jesus growing into maturity and wisdom in the biblical narrative, we too are called and aided by God to grow into mature personhood and to learn to always be looking for the big picture of the future God is opening up to us. And just as Jesus and his parents returned to Nazareth, to the rhythm of work and worship and Sabbath within the confines of their daily life, we too are called to our contexts and our rhythms. Because until the next time Angel Gabriel chooses to make an entrance, it is within the sanctity of faithful living that the big picture resounds.